Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 53, Coffee Talk. Downtown Manhattan, New York. February 18, 2009, 1600H local. Come on. You fought in a Russian underground fighting rink. This isn't that different, Jessica said to herself while walking back and forth in front of a Starbucks. She had no idea why she was more nervous about the prospect of talking with her adoptive sister than going into a bar fight. You're being stupid. Just go in there and talk to her, she whispered. Jessica was debating with herself if she should just cancel the whole impromptu meeting with her sister when the choice was taken away from her. Jess. A voice suddenly called her name from behind her. When Jessica turned around, she saw a woman walking towards her. The woman's name is Patricia Walker, or simply Trish, though she called herself Patsy before her whole image change. She's a 5'8" Caucasian woman with blonde hair and green eyes. She is currently wearing a brown coat with what's more than likely a dress underneath and stiletto heels. No one could deny her beautiful face and sexy figure. Trish was a talented individual who quickly became a young star. And just like other young stars, the newly found freedom and pressure of her profession caused her life to go down the drain. Even at Jessica's lowest point in her life, she didn't reach Trish's level. The last time Jessica even saw her sister was at a club when she stopped Trish from having a one-night stand with the drug-dealing owner. Trish voluntarily entered into rehab after that incident. The adoptive siblings hadn't seen each other for more than 3 years, though Jessica still kept track of Trish's whereabouts. Trish was able to turn her life around and is now working as a producer at a radio station. Jessica stood frozen for a few moments, studying how healthy her sister looked compared to when she last saw her. After she snapped out of her stupor, she walked towards Trish and gave her a quick hug. This time, it was Trish who was shocked, since for as long as she had known Jessica, she had never initiated a hug or any other sign of physical affection. The most she would do was pat someone on the shoulder. It looked like she wasn't the only one who changed in the past 3 years. Trish decided not to point this out, cause this may cause Jessica to clam up. She instead hugged her tightly. Let's get inside and warm up, Trish suggested when they separated. Jessica nodded weakly before the pair entered the coffee shop. You still want the same thing? She asked, to which Jessica nodded again. Okay, I'll order for us. Just find a seat. Jessica nodded again before walking away. Trish was surprised again. Jessica prides herself as a strong, independent woman and wouldn't take any form of charity from anyone. Jessica would always insist on buying her drink and even paying for her guest. Whatever caused her to change this much must be something huge. Or it could all just be a side effect of whatever distressed her enough to call an essentially estranged sister. Jessica, on the other hand, was sitting on a table staring at nowhere in particular. Her brain was working in overdrive. The talk she had with Natasha really messed up her mind. So much so that she didn't notice Trish sitting in front of her until Trish practically shoved the coffee up her nose. Latte with 2 pumps of caramel and a cream cheese bagel, Trish said with a smile. Thanks, Jessica said as she took the coffee and bagel. She took a sip of the coffee before looking back to Trish. So, how are you? I heard you got a job with WNEX, she asked. Of course, she already knew a lot about Trish's life, including that little piece of information, but it's better to start with some small talk. Good to know you're still checking up on me, Trish commented with a teasing grin, though Jessica only gave her a raised eyebrow. Yup, got a job as a production assistant a year and a half ago. Worked my way up to a producer. Although, I just heard that I'd be able to get my own show that I'll host. She explained. That's awesome, Jessica genuinely said. What are you going to do with your show? Not sure yet, but I'm going to pitch a talk show about helping other people. Quote, Trish answered. I might not be a superhero, but I might be able to help other people. I say it's still a dream come true, she continued, referring both to Jessica's abilities and her childhood dream about being a superhero. But enough about all of that. Let's get to the reason why you called me, she said a lot more seriously. Don't get me wrong, I love that you called me, but you're obviously dying to talk about what's on your mind, she finished. Jessica released a deep sigh after Trish's statement. She called Trish to talk about her unique situation, but she didn't want Trish to think she was just using her. There was also the fact that she didn't really want to talk about her strange relationship with her roommates. After a few moments of thinking, she finally decided to tackle the topic head-on. "How open-minded are you?" Jessica asked with a soft voice. Trish raised an eyebrow and looked at Jessica like she was asking a stupid question. "You already know the answer to that. With my history, it would be pretty hypocritical of me to think any less of people for what they do," Trish explained. "Well, what do you think about joining a threesome? That's pretty low on the list. That's something a lot of people experience in college," Trish commented. "I'm pretty sure I did a lot more than a threesome," she half-jokingly added. Jessica took a bite of the bagel and a sip of her coffee. She noted that the coffee was just increasing her nervousness. "How stupid is this coffee idea? We should just have gone to a bar," Jessica mused, causing Trish to release a light chuckle. I can't tell you the whole thing. We would go to prison the moment I blurt it out." Trish was surprised at Jessica's assertion. "How does a threesome cause someone to go into prison?" "You should start with what you can tell me," Trish suggested. Jessica nodded, seeing that was the only reasonable thing she could do. "So, I found a guy who has a stronger version of my condition." Quote. Jessica started, referring to her superhuman strength and durability. "I now know for a fact that there are a lot of people like me, and there's an organization that monitors all of us. I can't tell you more about them, though. They're listening in on us right now." Quote. Trish suddenly turned a little paranoid, looking around, trying to find something amiss, but she couldn't find anything. "The guy in the red hoodie behind you and the chick in the dress to my left. There's also the beige SUV parked outside. Don't look at them," Jessica pointed out. Living with Naruto and Natasha honed her already impressive observation skills. It also helped with the lessons they taught about espionage, self-defense, and intuitive thinking. "Fuck, you're under surveillance?" Trish asked disbelievingly. "Not all the time. They don't surveil me at home, and they don't use audio surveillance. Think of it as protecting me from anyone that might take an interest, since that's how they do it with nonviolent individuals," Jessica retorted, shrugging off Trish's concern. "But never mind about that, the guy I'm talking about has a girlfriend. They were serious but not together long before I came into the picture, or was pulled into the mayhem." How long ago was this?" Trish asked. "More than a year and a half ago, I think," Jessica answered. "The girlfriend was my neighbor that had moved into the building a year before all this, and the guy has a weird living arrangement that caused him to stay at my neighbor's apartment most of the time. The whole building knew when he was there." "Why? Does he cause trouble or something?" "No, not really," Jessica said sheepishly. "It's just when he and my neighbor had sex, you could hear my neighbor moaning to Kingdom Come. And since he's a super, you could feel the building shake," she explained. "I'm not even sure how Nat survived," she whispered to herself, but Trish heard it all the same. "So your neighbor's name is Nat. You might as well spill the name of the guy," Trish reasoned. Jessica released a sigh. The name Naruto isn't as common as Nat here in the States. Trish could easily find Naruto through her connections. "I can give you an alias of his. Some people call him Nathan," Jessica said. "Wow, an alias, huh? What is he, a spy?" Trish asked rhetorically with a teasing grin. "No, not him. Nat is," Jessica retorted, leaving Trish slack-jawed. "They have a weird romance, and I can't get into that now," she added. "Anyway, Nat basically tapped out against Nathan in bed, so she pulled me in. And of course you said yes." "Yup, and it has continued up until now." "What happened?" Trish asked. "Nat asked me if I would like to enter a more permanent relationship," Jessica answered, not really sure how to phrase it. "She would leave Nathan to be with you?" Trish inquired for clarification. Jessica slammed her head at the table. She was stressing over how hard it was to explain her situation. No, it's a ménage à trois type deal. And it was this Nat that asked you. Nathan didn't pressure her in any way whatsoever?" Trish questioned to be sure. "No way. Nat practically forced Nathan to accept the arrangement. And when Nat asked me this afternoon, Nathan has been AWOL for at least 3 days," Jessica explained, glossing over her almost slip-up. "Don't get me wrong, But is he gay or something? Oh, that's a definite no, Jessica replied, while her cheeks reddened. That's right, he's basically a beast in bed if he can keep up with you. Trish teased before going back to the topic. If you're okay with the arrangement and you like at least one of them, why not? She suggested. You like at least one of them, don't you? Jessica shyly nodded. It's the guy, right? Jessica nodded again. Then what's the problem? Jessica took a moment to think. If she was honest with herself, she was ready to accept Natasha's offer, but when she heard about Nat's plan for the future, it caused her to think twice. Nathan has a weird lineage. Jessica started. He came from an isolated place where he's basically a member of royalty. Because he's the last surviving member, he's expected to have multiple wives. She explained. There's an even bigger problem that would cause most people to back away, but I can say that if I don't change, I'll be left behind. Although I can still join whether I change or not. She finished, thinking about Naruto's immortality and Natasha's plan to join in the future. Is that change good or bad? Trish asked. She was not one of those people who advocates not to change for anyone since she knows that not all changes were bad. Best I can say is that if everyone in the world were offered the choice, it would be a 50-50 split. Jessica answered. Immortality is one of those divisive topics. What the hell? Why can't you just tell me? Because either you won't believe me or everything you know about how the universe works would be turned upside down. Jessica replied. Aren't you exaggerating this just a little bit, Jess? Ha ha ha, I'm not exaggerating at all. Well, fuck. Quote. Trish commented. I don't know what to tell you, Jess. I think you're the first person ever to experience this kind of problem. She said with a sigh. The first time she saw her sister again, and Jessica decided to bring in a major headache. If every one of her future callers asked her about problems like this, she would probably just quit. All I can say is do what you think you want and deal with the consequence later. You don't have to decide anything for now either. It doesn't seem like they're forcing you. Jessica listened to what Trish said and arrived at one inescapable fact. You're useless. That's what I was thinking too. Jessica replied with a groan before dropping her head onto the table. Natasha's Safe House, New York. February 18, 2009, 2100H local. Good to be home, Naruto exclaimed as soon as he got into the apartment. Naruto had a pretty long week. Between babysitting Tony and distracting Morgan, he barely had time to check on Nat and Jessica to make sure they were okay. After the limo got to Tony's downtown apartment, they noticed that Phil wasn't following them. Naruto surmised that Phil was called in by Fury to prevent Phil from spilling anything. Tony and Pepper tried to pump Naruto about S.H.I.E.L.D., but he just brushed everything off and told them he would answer questions some other time. Naruto went straight inside Tony's apartment before flopping on the couch. Tony and Pepper discussed a lot of topics that took them hours to finish. It included Yinsen's job interview, Frank's payment, some small talk with Rhodey, and a whole range of topics. Morgan eventually woke up, so he relegated himself with babysitting duty. Adulting isn't really his thing. When Naruto noticed the conversation winding down, he silently said goodbye to Morgan before placing his hand on Frank and promptly disappearing, surprising everyone. Naruto dropped off Frank to the nearest Horizon mark near Frank's house before quickly disappearing again. He just didn't have enough energy to do anything else but to cuddle with Natasha and bond with Jessica. Nat, Jess, anyone home? Naruto loudly asked through the apartment. He tries to only use his worldwide sensing ability for long periods unless he's specifically looking for someone. Being able to sense anything in the world takes away all the fun in life and was just plain creepy. When no one answered, he immediately activated his sensing ability as well as his Shinigami in worry. Weirdly enough, he found Natasha in her dance studio at an old warehouse he renovated for her to support Natasha's love for ballet. But due to Nat's hectic schedule, she only does it when she's stressed and worried. Even her negligible chakra reflected her mood. On the other hand, Jessica was walking around Central Park. Her chakra was also turbulent, showing her more than probably chaotic feelings and thoughts, although it was slowly ebbing away. Both of them having chaotic chakra signatures couldn't be a coincidence. Something probably happened between the two. Seeing that Natasha was in a secured area, he decided to Horizon towards Jessica, who was coincidentally sitting underneath one of his accidental, Horizon Gate trees. After Jessica left from her impromptu meeting with Trish, she wasn't any closer to finding a solution to her headache. She decided to take a long walk around the city, eventually working her way towards Central Park when it became dark. As Jessica was walking around, she came across a cherry blossom tree. Although it was weird to see a cherry blossom so far away from the rest, she just brushed it off, sitting on a bench next to the tree. Somehow, this particular cherry blossom tree was calming her down. Something about it seemed familiar to her. Jessica's peace and serenity didn't last long, though. "What you thinking about?" Naruto asked after suddenly appearing next to Jessica. She was naturally shocked by his appearance, causing her to almost jump high up into the air. "Naruto, what the hell? When did you get back?" Jessica rapidly asked after calming herself down. She long gave up on trying to rid Naruto of that particular nasty habit of his. "I got home a few minutes ago to an empty apartment. Naturally, I was worried since I know you guys were home this afternoon. That's why I tried to find you too. I immediately knew something was wrong when Natasha was doing ballet. Your chaotic chakra signature just proved my point," Naruto answered before invading Jessica's personal space, causing her to lean back. She also pulled up her scarf to hide her reddening cheeks. "So, tell me, Jess, what happened?" Jessica should have expected the question. Naruto was a straightforward guy who would always choose to barrel through a problem than think about it for too long. She must have remained stationary for too long since Naruto was already starting to poke her cheeks like a kid. "You okay, Jess?" Naruto asked, unconsciously flashing his puppy dog eyes. Yeah, Jessica replied with a shake of her head before releasing a sigh. "I can't tell you what happened. Nat said some stuff that shook me up, that's all," she explained. "Can't tell me, huh? That just makes me want to know about it more," Naruto teased, "but I'm going to let it slide for now. Although, I need you ladies to talk it out. Your stress levels are off the roof. Good thing yours is going down." "Yeah, I just felt calmer when I got near this tree," Jessica replied. "You just had to break the peace," she continued cheekily. Naruto released a pure-bellied laugh. When he calmed down, he turned his head around towards the cherry blossom tree. "You do know that this is one of my trees?" Naruto asked. "Your tree?" Jessica asked, confused by his statement. "Yup," Naruto said. "This tree is one of the accidental physical manifestations of my dimensional anchors. I didn't even know the flash of light that happened along with the trees when I arrived. I only found out about it while I was traveling," he explained. "So it's my tree. It absorbs a whole lot of nature chakra and releases some in a controlled manner. That's probably why you feel calm." Jessica finally had the reason for the really weird calming feeling. "I should have gone to Central Park sooner if it's like this," Jessica commented. "It probably wouldn't have worked before," Naruto retorted. "If this affected everybody, we would see people everywhere. Only you and Nat should be affected because you both experienced nature chakra from me," he continued. "Anyway, want me to bring you to Nat, or should I just leave?" he asked. Jessica thought about it for a moment. She hated that she couldn't seem to make a straightforward decision even after all the time she had spent thinking about it. "Let's just get this over with," Jessica replied, which Naruto understood. He reached for Jessica's hand before disappearing. Chapter 54. Starks in the Know. Natasha's Dance Studio, New York. February 18, 2009, 2200H local. The Red Room was a Russian spy program that developed super spies. Their preferred recruits were orphaned girls or females who were sold by impoverished families to the government. They took young girls, 5 years old being the oldest, and trained them in batches. The program itself was one of the projects that originated from the Cold War. They aimed to create spies that could infiltrate anywhere and get close to anyone. The girls would be taught everything a spy should know. They were trained in hand-to-hand, ranged, and unorthodox combat strategies, seduction, information gathering, espionage, and covert operations. All of this was done while they were slowly being brainwashed with subtle suggestions and propaganda to think of the motherland as being above everything else. One of the cover stories for the Red Room was that they were a Russian ballet troupe that trains prima ballerinas. They were obviously taught ballet to reinforce that story. Natasha held on to ballet as a hobby, practicing it even after escaping from the Red Room. Although, she doesn't do it as much as she wants. That was why Natasha was touched when Naruto gifted her a private and secured dance studio. It also has an underground shooting range, dojo, and gym. Natasha had been dancing for almost 6 hours when the warehouse security system, placed by Naruto, informed her that someone had entered the warehouse. Judging by the lack of red alerts, the visitor must have been Naruto. Although she still retrieved her gun in preparation for the off chance of someone managing to break through Naruto's over-the-top security system. She also wiped some sweat off to make herself presentable. When Natasha heard footsteps on the other side of the door, she subtly concealed the gun behind her. This was to give herself the option to surprise her possible opponent. So it was a surprise that it was neither Naruto nor a stranger that walked through the door but rather Jessica. "Nice place you got here, Nat," Jessica commented confidently, but Natasha could see the underlying tension. "Yeah, I should have brought you over sooner," Natasha replied with a smile before placing the gun down with her other stuff. "How'd you get in anyway?" she asked, although she was reasonably sure what the answer would be. "Naruto brought me," Jessica answered, confirming what Natasha thought. "He basically forced me to talk to you." "Why? Something about the state of our chakra bothering him or something?" Jessica explained, not remembering Naruto's explanation. "He got home a few hours ago, and he couldn't find us. So in a Naruto-ish fashion, he tracked us both down. I have no idea why he came to me, though. Probably because I'm here. This place is more secure than the White House," Natasha commented, although she knows that the White House has a laughable security system. Fury occasionally sends her in to test weaknesses, and she always finds at least a dozen gaps. But the analogy still works. "So, where's Naruto anyway?" she asked while stripping off her clothes, not minding that she had an audience, to change into something not drenched in sweat. Jessica's eyes were glued to the mini strip show that Natasha was performing. Nat had such a high degree of refined sexuality that she has no trouble seducing even straight ladies or gay men. Jessica snapped out of her stupor when she noticed that Nat had already changed and was now staring at her. "He said something about getting out of our hair for a while and going back to LA. Apparently, the Starks wants to hire him to protect their kid," Jessica answered. "Huh, Fury should probably know about this," Natasha said to herself before taking her gym bag and walking towards the underground garage with Jessica following close behind. "But it's not my job to tell him. I'm on vacation," she continued, a little too happy. The pair continued walking towards the garage, not particularly eager to talk with each other. Both Natasha and Jessica understood each other's messages to delay the conversation for as long as possible. The two walked towards Natasha's black 2008 Aston Martin Vantage V8, customized and upgraded to be a high-performance heavy-duty car. She was reasonably sure that Naruto did something to it as well since it handles better than she expected, but she couldn't find any unusual changes or modifications. Nat got on the driver's side while tossing her gym bag to the small space behind her seat while Jessica got in on the passenger side. Natasha drove out of the garage after making sure the auto-lock function of the facility activated. "You want to go anywhere?" Natasha asked, having no real idea where they should go, but Jessica shook her head. "All right, let's just drive around. See where it leads us," she suggested. Of course, it was not a random decision on her part. It was a calculated move that would prevent Jess from bolting somewhere mid-talk. "Are you serious about what you said earlier?" Jessica blurted out after a few minutes of deafening silence. "Which part?" Natasha countered. "All of it," Jessica replied. "But let's start with the immortality thing first." "That's true," Natasha said after releasing a sigh. "I was always taught to kill my emotions. That it was just an occupational hazard since you would drown in guilt if you feel stuff. Naruto was the first person that made me feel something more," she explained. "Don't get me wrong. I was never emotionally dead, but I was prepared to die without feeling any form of romantic love. The closest person I almost felt something like this for was my work partner, but nothing ever came of it since I figured out that he has a family." "Well, that sucks," Jessica commented, "but that still doesn't answer why I still don't believe that it's just because you feel sorry for him," she said, changing Natasha's previous reason to the crudest way possible, which slightly irked Nat. Natasha took a few moments to think of an answer that would encapsulate at least half of the reason why she would be willing to do something as stupid as immortality. "Have you ever had a single moment where you wanted it to last forever just to preserve that feeling for as long as you can?" Natasha asked. Of course, Jessica answered yes to the question. She was thinking of the last Thanksgiving she had before her family died, although there was some small part of her nagging about some moments with Nat and Naruto. "That's exactly what I'm trying to do," Natasha said with conviction. "It may sound cliché, especially since it's coming from me, but Naruto is my forever, literally," she added. "So, where am I supposed to fit in all this?" Jessica asked. "Wherever you want," Natasha replied plainly. "With Naruto's unique condition, there is a high percentage chance that he will eventually practice polygamy. All I'm doing is dealing with it now and at the same time making sure that it's at least someone who won't take advantage of him," she explained. "He might look tough and all that, but deep inside, he's just a puppy." "Are you expecting me to do the same as you?" Jessica inquired, referring to Natasha's choice of immortality. "No, but I got to say that I would like you to do it. I heard eternity can be pretty boring," Natasha answered half-jokingly. Nat had been driving for a while, and Jess noticed that they were on the freeway headed somewhere she was not expecting. "Why are we headed to DC?" Jessica asked. "All this talk about the future reminded me that I need to file for 3 months of leave," Natasha said before turning back the subject. "What are you going to do now?" "I'm not sure yet. I just need more time," Jessica confessed, causing a few moments of silence between the two. Stark Mansion, Malibu, Los Angeles. February 18, 2009, 1900 local. The Stark family just got home a few minutes ago. Pepper had already put Morgan to bed since she had a very active day, the same as any other day with Naruto. The couple themselves were exhausted as well, especially since Tony just got back from Afghanistan and was still severely jet-lagged. That was why Tony decided to heat up some leftovers while Pepper was putting Morgan to sleep. He couldn't wait to get some sleep, but it looked like it just wasn't meant to be. "Don't bother heating that up. I brought some ramen," Tony suddenly heard Naruto say from the dining room. "You should probably get some sleep soon," Naruto advised. I know, Pepper already told me," Tony said, exasperated. He took a bowl and a pair of chopsticks from Naruto and sat on the chair. "What are you doing here, anyway? I thought you were going back to your girlfriend," he asked before noticing Pepper walking towards them silently, trying to making sure that Naruto would not detect her. "I was, but my girlfriend and our roommate had some kind of misunderstanding, so I gave them some time to work things out," Naruto explained. "I could also start answering some questions you guys wanted to ask," he said before placing another bowl of ramen on the table in front of an empty seat beside Tony. "Ain't that right, Peps? I thought I could get by you this time," Pepper replied with a groan before sitting in the seat beside Tony. "Thanks for the food, by the way." The trio ate in silence, just enjoying the meal. When they were done, Naruto just picked up the bowls before promptly making them disappear. This didn't surprise the couple anymore due to how many times that they had already seen Naruto do it, but that just reminded Pepper of her agenda. "You already know what we want to know before officially hiring you, right?" Pepper asked while emphasizing the word hiring. She knew how loaded Naruto was since she was the one who handled his portfolio, and that was just the assets that she knew about. Who knows what else Naruto owns? "Yup, you want to know my real background, and what the hell shield is, right?" Naruto asked to be sure. Pepper nodded her head while Tony was just sitting in one corner, trying to act disinterested. "What do you want to know first?" "Let's start with what shield is and why they're so interested in Tony," Pepper replied. She saw Naruto pull out a video camera and point it at Tony, which obviously earned curious stares from the couple. "What are you doing?" Tony asked. "Oh, this. Just trying to record your reaction. It's going to be awesome," Naruto said with a grin. This obviously caused Tony to be a little disconcerted. "So shield. A little disclaimer, though, I can only tell you what I know, and I can't tell you stuff that could immediately cause you both to either be incarcerated indefinitely or terminated. Quote. He added, which further increased Tony and Pepper's anxiety, but Naruto pushed forward with the topic. The Strategic Homeland, Intervention, Enforcement, and Logistics Division or SHIELD is a US-based international spy agency, but you already know that. 40% of their funding comes from the US, 20% from private ventures, and the rest comes from the UN. Any questions about anything that I've said so far? Pepper shook herself no while Tony just stared straight towards Naruto. SHIELD is the derivative of the Strategic Scientific Reserve or SSR. He continued before looking towards Tony. You know that one, right? Tony quickly ran through his memory, searching and compiling everything he had on the SSR. SSR was a top-secret advanced science division created to counter Nazi tech. Tony recited the essential details before stating the most significant and annoying fact. They were also the guys that helped the military finish Project Rebirth. Project Rebirth, Pepper interjected. It's the top-secret project that created Captain America. Quote. Tony replied with a bit more resentment coming through than he wanted. He still hadn't gotten over his jealousy that his father put more importance in a dead guy from his past than his own son. He reeled his emotions back in before adopting his easygoing persona again. Some guy must have wanted their name to spell SHIELD so bad. I feel sorry for the guy who had to come up with the name. He commented with a chuckle. Ooh, you're definitely not going to like what I'm going to say next. Naruto retorted after hearing Tony's commentary. Tony's mind quickly understood what Naruto was implying, causing him to turn a shade paler and adopting a dubious expression. No, just no, Tony said in denial. Pepper was seriously concerned with Tony's actions since she still hadn't figured out why he was acting this way. Good thing Naruto didn't make her wait long. Yup, SHIELD was co-founded by your dad, Howard Stark, and Cap's flame, Peggy Carter. Quote. Naruto blurted out, confirming Tony's suspicion, and Pepper finally understood Tony's sudden outburst. Hell, your dad provided most of the startup money that Peggy needed. He added, as for why they are so interested in you, Howard pushed forward a clause that you should not be introduced to the chaotic world that SHIELD is situated in. Peggy also mandated that SHIELD would watch over you from the shadows, to make sure you didn't suddenly die, or at least that's what my girlfriend told me. Tony and Pepper sat in silence, absorbing what Naruto told them. The whole thing was so far-fetched, but based on everything they knew, it might just be real. Tony was still reeling from the revelation when Pepper remembered something. So, the surveillance outside the house when you first moved in. Yup, SHIELD the lot of them. Naruto replied, they're still trying to watch you guys. Though I made sure they would have as hard of a time as possible. What are they going to do now? Pepper asked. Nothing. They'll continue what they're doing. Naruto answered with a shrug. I know for a fact that they're already making contingency plans if something happened to Morgan. He added while pulling out a tablet and sliding it over to Pepper. Pepper was about to take it, but Tony grabbed it first. He unlocked it and quickly scrolled through the dozens of files with different scenario labels. Alien invasion. Zombie apocalypse. What the hell? Tony exclaimed. Oh yeah, very real. They already have an alien on ice, and I already met a zombie. Naruto replied nonchalantly. The alien he was referring to was the blue guy that Fury tried to hide off the books. He only managed to find out about it after he accidentally heard Fury ask Coulson about Project Tahiti. As for the zombie, the impure world resurrection technique technically created those. What? Pepper shouted while simultaneously standing up. Tony would have mirrored Pepper's reaction if he wasn't frozen in shock. All the surprises end here. Who the hell are you? She exclaimed. Naruto internally snickered, thoroughly enjoying the pair's reaction. It was kind of comforting that he could still surprise the couple and prank them even though he was telling them the truth. What do you want to know? Pepper pulled out her phone and opened a note file. She had been compiling questions she would ask Naruto if she ever had the chance, and now was as good a time as any. She already organized the list based on how important the question was. Who are you? We know your background story is all on paper only, and removing that, you don't exist anywhere. Pepper asked, going straight to the thing that has been bugging her the most. Unbeknownst to Tony, Pepper hired a team of private investigators to dig into Naruto's life, and all of them agreed on two things. Naruto was not a regular guy, and all his papers are fake. Tony just hung back, letting Pepper run the show. He recognized that she would be able to ask more pertinent questions. Well, the question should be what rather than who, but I guess I'll answer either way. Naruto mused before taking a deep breath. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, a former shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. My girlfriend has had the best description that I've ever heard. He started before pausing for dramatic effect. She called me an immortal dimension-hopping god. Pepper sat frozen in shock, not expecting such a far-fetched answer. Tony, on the other hand, decided to go the other direction and release a full-bellied laugh. Chapter 55, Dogfight. Gulmira, Afghanistan, May 28, 2009, 0700H local. What are we doing this time? Eric asked from atop a cliff, positioning himself as an overwatch. The 10 rings are moving their forces inside Gulmira. They're going to make it their new forwarding base. Naruto replied through the comms on the other side of the village. I know someone from here, and we're going to do him a favor. As expected, Tony and Pepper were surprised by Naruto's revelation, causing them to forget temporarily about the shield talk. Being an alien god really does send anyone into an existential tailspin. After an hour of Naruto calming the couple down, he had been forced by Tony to do all kinds of tricks with chakra, including walking up walls and making fires. Good thing Naruto had the forward thinking not to blurt out that he could call for the dead and make anything he can imagine. The whole reveal finally convinced Pepper that Naruto was more than qualified to guard Morgan. His price to protect Morgan was a copy of Tony's armor and the base code for JARVIS's program. Who knows what he could come up with if he combines Wakandan tech and Tony's designs. Naruto decided to stay with the Starks for 3 days, giving Natasha and Jessica more than enough time to work things out. However, he was checking in on the location of the pair from time to time. That was why he was surprised when he sensed them going to Washington and staying there for a day. Before Naruto left, he planted an invisible Hiraishin tag on Morgan. He also gave her a 12-bead bracelet similar to the Wakandan Kimoyo beads. But this time, each bead was a fortified hanged clone placed into stasis. This effectively gave Morgan a 12-man bodyguard team. He conveniently left this detail out of Pepper and Tony's knowledge, though. When Naruto got back to New York, he was surprised to learn that Nat had already filed for leave so that Naruto could push forward with her operation. Naruto tried to subtly, well subtle for him, pry out what Nat's and Jess's disagreement had been about. But both of them immediately shuts up every time he tries to pry more on the topic. Naruto brought Nat and Jess to Switzerland to utilize the already existing equipment he used for Peggy's de-aging. He was only able to release a calming breath after the operation was finished. Natasha never felt so weak before, which caused her to panic a little. Good thing, Peggy was there to reassure her that it was normal. The group decided that Nat would stay with Peggy for the duration of her 3-month rehabilitation before she goes back to light duty. Jessica has no choice but to return to New York since she still has to go to uni. Naruto was snapped from his thoughts when something moving at high speeds got inside his default sensing range. He activated his Shinigami before focusing on the incoming object. Motherfucker, Naruto said in a whisper. What's happening? Eric asked when he heard Naruto's exclamation through the comms. We're going to have a visitor. Don't shoot it or blow it up. Naruto replied. You're not going to tell me who or what it is. Eric said incredulously. You'll know when you see it. Was Naruto's short reply. He's here. Eric scanned the area through his high magnification spotting scope, trying to figure out where he is, but he didn't see anything. That was when he heard a faint whirring sound coming from the sky behind him. As soon as he turned around, he saw a red and gold streak flying towards the center of Gulmira, near where the rockets were. What the hell was that? Eric exclaimed while repositioning the scope to get a better look at the streak. Through his spotting scope, he could see that the blur was actually a red and gold armor. Damn, he finally finished it. Took him longer than I thought. Eric heard Naruto say through the comms. Of course you know the guy in the suit of armor. I mean, why wouldn't you? Eric commented exasperatedly, while still looking at the events unfolding below. The dude was doing everything, taking out terrorists, and blowing up the weapons cache and vehicles, leaving a mess behind. Are we even needed here? Guess not, Naruto replied, but we should stay here in case something unexpected happens. It was a good thing that fate decided not to throw Naruto another curveball, since 10 minutes later, the armor started flying out again after taking out a group of terrorists holding some civilians hostages and a tank who shot him down after his initial takeoff. The armor suit flew off to God knows where, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. Seeing that there was nothing else for them to do, Eric started packing up the stuff, but not before sweeping his sights through Gulmira to make sure everything had been handled. He stopped in his tracks, though, when he heard Naruto behind him. The fucker is going to get himself killed, Naruto said before Eric turned around. Naruto pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Hey, Jarvis, can you patch me through to Tony's suit? He asked. This was Eric's first concrete proof that there's someone inside that suit. Of course, sir, patching you through now, Jarvis replied quickly. Naruto, hey, I'm kinda busy driving right now. I'll call you back, Tony said quickly through the phone. Don't fuck with me, Tony. I just saw you blow up a tank, Naruto replied in an exasperated tone. What the hell? I just saw you at the gala before I left, Tony exclaimed. That's a clone. Does Pepper know about this? Naruto asked. Naruto knew that Tony left the gala, but he didn't keep track of him since Tony left with Happy. He thought he was just fed up with dealing with the press. The press had been trying for the past 3 months to get some scoop on the family. Even Congress can't get enough traction to force Tony to change his decision about holding the military contracts. Tony's in-depth investigation of the books, through Jarvis's help, turned up some pretty interesting things, and he didn't like where it was going. Every bit of evidence that he uncovered points out that someone high up, like someone high enough to sit on the executive table, was manipulating the system. I liked it better when we didn't know about you. I could still counter how you found out stuff in front of Pepper, Tony retorted. Do you still want to know what I'm going to tell you? Just say it, man. It isn't easy to fly in a suit of armor. Well, it's about to get a whole lot harder. You just flew over a US military restricted airspace. Expect some tails on you. Fuck, was all Tony said before he cut off the comms. Well, that was rude, Naruto commented before pocketing his phone and turning his head back to Eric. You're going down there to sweep the main areas. Make sure nothing dangerous got left behind. What are you going to do? Eric asked while picking up his gear. I'm going to help the guy in the armor. He's about to get shot down by a squadron of F-22s. Naruto answered before picking up the excess gear left by Eric. Let's meet back here in 3 hours, he added before suddenly disappearing. What the hell is he going to do against 4 F-22s? Eric mused before running down the mountain to do what's left of his mission. Naruto, on the other hand, horishined just under Tony's armor. He had to activate his flying ability to prevent himself from falling from the sky. Tony's radar must have been compromised when the tank shot Tony down. He knocked on Tony's chest plate to get Tony's attention. Tony was trying to reboot his evasive and detection systems while flying when he heard knocking on his armor. He looked down and saw something a lot crazier than his armor, Naruto flying just below him. The crazy part was he was flying just over Mach 1. His surprise caused him to tumble through the air before stabilizing himself again and hovering around 25,000 feet. You can fly. Of course, you can fly. Why wouldn't you? Tony sarcastically commented. We have no time for that, Naruto interjected. You have 4 F-22 incoming, we have got to go now, he said before trying to reach Tony, but he suddenly stopped the second before his hand touched Tony's armor. Fuck, we're too late, they have visual. As soon as Naruto said that, he pushed Tony away from himself. Cuts started appearing across his skin, which alarmed Tony. Especially after strands started coming out of those cuts and started crawling over his skin, eventually covering his whole body. The strings weaved themselves together to look like some sort of fabric. In the end, Naruto looked like he was wearing a slightly bulky full bodysuit. He was also now wearing a dark orange helmet. Tony finally understood why Naruto was so obsessed with his armor design. Although Naruto's armor was a lot more streamlined than his own and had the ability to be deployed anywhere quickly, he could influence his Project Night plan based on Naruto's armor. He also made a mental note to ask Naruto about the metastatic stands that form his armor. Jarvis also managed to fix Tony's evasion system, but the radar was still offline. "Stop daydreaming, Tony," Naruto said as he shook Tony's shoulder, snapping him out of his stupor. "We need to take those planes down or at least break their line of sight, as well as the satellite surely aimed at us. Fly low and head for the mountain ranges when you get rid of your tail. Stay on radio contact. I'm on channel 43. He explained the plan. When the jets were finally a few kilometers away, the pair nodded to each other before separating. Creech Air Force Base, Nevada. May 27, 2009, 2120H local. Rhodey was rushing towards mission control. Creech AFB was the primary base for operations conducted overseas. Being called down here instead of Edward's office meant something happened overseas, and since he was the Air Force's expert on advanced and experimental planes, they found something they couldn't identify. As soon as he passed through the doors, Major Michael Allen immediately pulled him aside to brief him. Some people might wonder why a major could be disrespectful to a colonel, but there were some insinuating circumstances involved. Mainly because Rhodey primarily worked on the R&D, and Allen is on operations. At 1945H local, something showed up on the radar in Bagram. It was as fast as a commercial jet, and it was headed towards eastern Afghanistan. They first thought it was a system glitch since analysis showed that it was smaller than a car. But after rechecking, they determined that it was not a glitch. Quote, Major Allen explained. This information surprised Rhodey. He couldn't think of any object that fits into those parameters except for a slow rocket, but they would have already considered it. We lost it when it got below the mountain ranges. An hour later, it showed up again, and this time it flew through restricted airspace. The on-site officer decided that he wouldn't take any chances and decided to scramble for Raptors. They're going to have visual any minute now. That's where you come in. We need you to identify the aircraft. You got satellites overhead? Rhodey asked. We borrowed the satellite that the CIA was using over Iraq. The problem is, it's an old model. The best we can do is track the objects that we're monitoring. But it's better than nothing, Allen replied. After Major Allen finished, the wing leader reported, his voice loud and clear over the speakers. This is Raptor 1. We just got visual on our HUD. Still too far for visual confirmation. The pilot reported. Do a flyby. Find out whatever the hell it is. Allen ordered. Sir, the satellite indicates we have two bogies, but they are too close to each other for the radar to confirm. An operator reported to Allen. Raptor 1. We have a reason to believe that there might be bogies. Please confirm, Allen said to the comms. 10-4. The pilot replied, but something happened. Two signatures suddenly appeared on the radar. We got confirmation. Break 2. Break 2. The lead pilot ordered, causing the squadron to split up. Both attempts of radio contact failed. Permission to engage. Negative. Confirm visual contact first, Allen replied. Central Afghanistan, May 28, 2009, 0850H local. Naruto was enjoying himself flying through the sky. He was still holding himself back a lot just to let the US's best fighter jet catch up. He made sure to create the illusion of rockets similar to what Tony had with his armor. This was to make them think that he used some form of external propulsion. Let's see how fast a Raptor can go, Naruto whispered to himself before speeding up to Mach 2 and climbing to 50,000 feet. Tony, on the other hand, did the opposite. He dropped to 5,000 feet and opened up his air brakes, causing the jet to zoom past him. The low-altitude flight severely restricted the F-22's flight capabilities. He should know. He helped design the thing. But the pilots were better than he thought since they were on him again after a minute. They're good, Tony commented. How are you doing? He asked. Having fun, Naruto replied. Your planes can't turn. You should look into that. I wanted to fix that. They were just too cheap to pay for it, Tony retorted, still annoyed with the whole thing. Naruto laughed at Tony's statement before speaking. I'm going to spice things up a bit. Just warning you. Naruto then made a titanium steel alloy javelin and threw it towards the second raptor. Creech Air Force Base, Nevada. May 27, 2009, 2140H local. Bogey A just went supersonic. Engaging afterburners. The lead pilot reported. Still trying to get a visual. Raptor 3. Bogey B looks like a man, but I'm not sure. The pilot following the second object reported. The report gave Rhodey an idea, but he just could seem to zero in on it. Something almost hit Raptor 2. Permission to engage. The lead pilot shouted through the comms. Shit, Alan exclaimed. Permission granted. MROM launched. The pilot said, "We got a hit," he reported after flying past the ball fire. "Good work. Help out with the second bogey," Alan ordered, still looking at the aerial view of the area. "Sir, we're still picking up a reading," the same operator reported. Raptor 1. The bogey is still in the air. I repeat, it's still in the air. Central Afghanistan. May 28, 2009, 0910H local. Fucking hell, they're not playing around, Naruto exclaimed while shaking his head. He dropped to 40,000 feet since he didn't expect the strength of the explosion. What was that? Tony asked, still trying to evade the jets. They just used an AMRAAM on me. Took me by surprise, Naruto replied while trying to remove a creak in his neck. How much are those planes again? I feel like I should not answer that question, but what the hell, it's not mine anyway. It's 150 million apiece. Tony answered. So 300 million, huh? That's cheap enough, Naruto mused to himself. Try to stay out of the airspace near me, Tony. Naruto followed the two raptors that just tried to shoot him down. It looked like they were trying to circle back towards his previous position. Creech Air Force Base, Nevada. May 27, 2009, 2147H local. Rhodey pulled out his phone and dialed a number. After 3 rings, the other line finally answered, but there was a lot of background noise. Tony, why is it so loud? Rhodey asked. I'm driving. What do you need? I just need to know if you have got some toys left behind in Afghanistan. Nothing. Why? Good. 'Cause I got 2 assholes that were going to blow to Kingdom Come. Rhodey said before closing the phone and focusing back on the comms. Something just landed behind me. Raptor 2 shouted. Go in front of me. I can't see you from here. I got a visual. A man is standing just behind your cockpit. Shake him off. Raptor 1 ordered. Fuck. I can't shake him off. Shit. What the hell is happening? Alan shouted. The guy just activated my ejector seat. Raptor 2 reported while slowly falling. His jet was not so lucky, though, since it crashed on the mountainside. This is Raptor 3. Bogey 2 is also a man. He's holding onto Raptor 4's belly. That's when Rhodey's phone started ringing again. It's me, Tony shouted. What? It's me in the suit, and the other one is Naruto. Central Afghanistan. May 28, 2009, 0920H local. That was just awesome, Naruto said to himself before turning his head back towards the other plane that was headed straight towards him. Let's try this one. Kaden. Goryaku no Jutsu. A fireball-turned dragon launched out of Naruto's mouth and flew towards the F-22. The pilot tried to evade the fireball, but it just followed him around. After a few seconds, the pilot just bailed on his plane. Naruto then commanded the dragon to hit F-22, virtually engulfing it in a ball fire. This also caused all the ammo and armaments to explode. Damn, probably too much chakra, Naruto commented with a sheepish look. Chapter 56. Meet the Parents. Stark's Mansion, Malibu, Los Angeles. May 27, 2008, 1030H local. Pepper rushed towards Tony's workshop garage. He had been missing ever since the firefighter gala, and she was worried that he got himself into trouble again. She pushed Naruto for information, but he kept his mouth shut. He just said that Tony was not dead. That's why when Jarvis informed Pepper that Tony had finally arrived and was holding himself up in the garage, she dropped everything in the office and ran back home. She barged through the door and ran down the stairs, although she was not expecting the scene in front of her. She entered the security code and walked inside. Tony, Pepper whispered in shock, pulling Tony's attention. Tony looked towards Pepper, while still suspended midair with metal contraptions on each limb, trying to remove the red and gold armor that he was wearing. He sputtered a few moments before giving up on defending himself. Be honest, we've done a whole lot worse than this. Tony deadpanned. Pepper's face immediately turned as red as her hair. She was about to reprimand Tony when she heard something that made the situation a whole lot worse. I don't need to know what nasty things you do in your private time. Pepper heard from somewhere in the computer lab. She slowly turned her head towards the source of the voice and saw Naruto leaning back on a chair with his feet up on the table and eating ramen. Naruto, I didn't see you there. Pepper replied, trying to brush off her embarrassment. Obviously, Naruto said as he placed down the ramen bowl. We can forget everything that was said if you do me a favor. Oh, thank God, yes. Pepper replied, a lot more relaxed. What do you need? Well, one is for me, and one is for Tony. Really? Naruto said sheepishly, which is immediately mirrored by Tony. This immediately sent warning bells up Pepper's mind. What did you two do this time? Pepper questioned, preparing herself for the inevitable headache. Oh, you really don't want to know. Naruto answered with a chuckle. He also noticed that after 25 minutes, Tony finally got out of his suit. Tony needs one F-22 with all the bells and whistles, and I need 2 of them. Just send them to Rhodey. What? Pepper exclaimed before turning towards Tony. Where the hell did you go? Afghanistan, Tony said quietly. He expected Pepper to blow up again, but she just stood there with her arms crossed while tapping her foot, urging him to continue. The 10 rings somehow got 3 Jericas, tanks, and a lot more stuff. They holed up in Gulmira, so I took my new suit and went there myself. And how did you get involved in this? Pepper asked Naruto, still using her. Mom, look. I was there first. It's your husband's fault that he decided to take my job. Naruto retorted. If anything, you should thank me. I just pulled Tony out of the crosshairs of 4 F-22. Hey, it's not my fault that a tank shot me down and banged up the hardware. Tony defended himself automatically, but Naruto's grin informed him that he just made the wrong move, and it wouldn't be long before he figured out why. You got shot down by a tank. When were you going to tell me this? Pepper exclaimed, causing Tony to try to take a step back before stopping himself. He slowly walked towards Pepper, took her hands, and hugged her. Look, Pep, I'm okay. I'm not hurt, though I can say that I'm shaken up by the fall. Tony whispered to Pepper. Pepper hugged Tony tighter. This was so she can subtly pat Tony's body for injuries and, at the same time, hide her teary eyes. When she was satisfied that Tony was indeed okay, she let go of him and wiped her eyes. I still don't know why you need 3 raptors. Pepper stated. Tony flew over restricted airspace, which is why the military tagged him. I was going to teleport us here, but they already had a visual on us, so we scrammed. Naruto interjected before Tony could explain. Tony accidentally hit one of the planes. Me, not so much an accident, but more of a controlled explosion. He added while making a fire dragon appear in his hands and making it dance around him just to emphasize his point. This fire show left Pepper and Tony a little dazed. Ever since Naruto revealed to the couple about his origins and skills, he had been using his skills more and more in private, and they still couldn't believe it. Although the pair had 2 wildly different reactions. Tony had tried to interrogate Naruto for how he does it and what else can he do. His academic and scientific mind wouldn't allow him to rest until he figured out how Naruto did everything. The chakra explanation just wouldn't cut it. Tony even set a subprotocol for Jarvis to record every unnatural thing Naruto did inside the house. Pepper, on the other hand, accepted the explanation a little more readily. Looking back at everything Naruto had done in the past, being an alien god just makes everything a little more acceptable, even though it would be a lot better if he just said he was some James Bond type of thing. There was just one thing she didn't expect, though. Placing house rules about things that probably no one had ever done before. No fireballs, no teleportation, no X-ray eyes, no lightning balls, no sharp objects, no water balls. Basically, no balls of any kind, and dragons too. Never forget the dragons. Of course, there were always exceptions to the rule. Like he can use his X-ray eyes and teleportation for emergencies. In the end, Pepper, with the help of Jarvis, was able to make a 3-inch thick binder filled with comprehensive rules. Anyways, I have to meet my girlfriend, Naruto said before picking up his ramen bowl. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. I want to watch Rhodey's press conference tomorrow with you guys, he added with a small laugh before suddenly disappearing. Let me tell you something, Pep. I'm going to figure out how he does that, Tony declared. He already told you how he does it. Why can't you just take that answer? Pepper asked while cleaning up Tony's workspace. Because chakra is not real. There's got to be another explanation, Tony insisted. Just let it go, for now, Tony, Pepper reacted. Anyways, I contacted the wedding planner. She's coming on Saturday. Tony walked towards Pepper from behind and placed his arms around her waist. He gave an exploratory kiss to her neck and whispered, "Good, I really don't want to extend this engagement period. It's so boring. I may have a way to pass the time," Pepper sexily replied before turning around and kissing Tony deeply. John, Switzerland, May 28, 2009, 083:00 local. Thanks for bringing me. I really needed the break, Jessica said as soon as they arrived. She had already decided not to go in for the next 2 days, which was why she carried an overnight bag. I couldn't just leave you there. You've been studying too hard these last few months. You can say you took a long weekend in Switzerland, Naruto replied with a chuckle before giving Jess a peck on the lips, but she had other plans. She grabbed onto Naruto's face and kissed him deeper before he could pull back. When Naruto returned to the apartment in New York after Nat and Jess's misunderstanding, he was immediately pulled inside and forced into a weird conversation. By the end of the day, he was forced into something he didn't expect, an official relationship with another woman. Naruto still had no idea what transpired for both of them to pursue something so unorthodox for this world. He was reasonably sure there was an agreement between the two women. Still, his self-preservation instincts stopped him from asking. Although, if he was honest with himself, it felt a whole lot better to be romantic with both Nat and Jess rather than just with Nat. Ehem. The kissing couple heard from somewhere near the house entrance, which caused them to separate. The pair turned their head towards the door, and they saw a smiling Natasha leaning on the door frame. Enjoying yourselves? Jessica didn't even look a little sheepish. She just smiled sweetly while wiping her lips and sauntering towards Natasha and giving her a deep kiss of her own. Still jealous? Jessica asked with a sexy tone. Well, I'm still waiting on Naruto, Natasha answered, gesturing towards Naruto. Jessica turned around and saw what Natasha was referring to. Naruto was looking at the two of them with lust clearly visible in his expression. It's good to know we can still get that reaction out of him, Jessica commented. Natasha sauntered towards Naruto and gave him a kiss, which snapped Naruto out of his stupor. He shook his head before focusing back on Natasha. Where are we again? Naruto asked seriously. We're in John, Solance, Natasha answered with a giggle. Okay, Naruto absent-mindedly replied before Natasha pulled him inside. How are you doing anyway? Naruto asked Natasha as soon as they got into the house. Jessica, on the other hand, immediately went upstairs, presumably towards Natasha's room to place her stuff away. Still not 100%, but I'm getting there, Natasha replied, emphasizing her point by doing some light calisthenics. Already got my next mission from Fury. What are the parameters? Naruto asked. I have to go undercover for Hammer Industries. Fury believes that Justin Hammer has some shady deals. He wants me to look into it. I think there's more to it, though, Natasha explained. Come on, don't leave me hanging, Naruto urged. Well, I think it's just something to put on my resume, for background purposes. He probably wants to put me inside Stark Industries somewhere in the future. Well, that's stupid. I can just put you inside the company anytime without Stark and Pepper knowing. I'm still technically on the board of directors, you know, Naruto told Natasha. Just let Fury do what he wants. I get paid either way, Natasha replied. Right on time, too, since Jessica decided to walk down the stairs. Where's Peggy? Jessica asked Natasha. On her run. She should be back in maybe an hour or two. It's taking her longer to get tired, Natasha answered. The trio made the best of their alone time. They were telling stories, laughing, and a whole lot of other things. It took another 2 hours before the door opened. Peggy walked inside the house, only a little winded. Her typical exercise routine just doesn't work anymore, and it didn't sit well with her former military side. This train of thought distracted her enough not to notice the trio in the living room. "Oh, didn't know you guys were coming," Peggy said with her usual British accent. "But this is perfect. Naruto, how do you exercise?" "I don't exercise. It does nothing for me," Naruto answered quickly. "But I could give you some things to make your workout harder." "Oh, that would be lovely," Peggy said, a lot more relieved compared a few seconds ago. Naruto stood up and retrieved something from behind him. He walked towards Peggy and handed over the item. As she took it, she saw that it was an ornate metallic bracelet. "I'm not saying I don't appreciate the gift, but I don't typically wear jewelry," Peggy commented jokingly. "This is an invention of mine. I call it the resistance band." Naruto proudly said, but it looked like the girls didn't appreciate his naming sense judging from the stifled laughter. "Shut up," he mumbled towards his girls before bringing his attention back to Peggy. "That band will make every movement harder. It can be anywhere from 2 times up to 100 times. It will automatically adjust the level while absorbing the latent chakra that you're emanating to keep the effect up. Just keep it on at all times, even if you're just relaxing." "This is perfect. Thank you," Peggy replied gratefully before putting it on. She immediately felt the effect. It was like walking through water. "I'll just clean myself up," she said before walking up the stairs to take a bath. "Wow, you made a bracelet for her, huh?" Natasha told Naruto with a contemplative tone. This caused Naruto to sweat involuntarily. "I have one for you," Naruto quickly said. Don't worry, I believe you." Stark Mansion, Malibu, Los Angeles. May 28, 2009, 1300H local. "Knock, knock," Naruto shouted at the entrance. He usually would have just teleported right inside his room, but reckoned that he should at least go through the front door since he brought a guest. He made sure to tell Jarvis that it was a surprise, though. "Are you sure it's okay for me to come?" Jessica asked just slightly behind him, a bit of nervous energy coming off of her. The whole scenario feels surreal. It might be because Naruto teleported her just as she started taking a nap or because of the massive mansion in front of her. Either way, she felt like she was being introduced to the parents. "Yeah, no problem. We're just going to watch the news and maybe have some snacks before going back," Naruto answered confidently. It didn't take long for the front door to open, revealing Pepper in her stay-at-home clothes. She must have decided not to go in and just have a relaxation day. "Naruto, why are you using the front door?" Pepper asked before noticing another person beside him. "Well, hello there," she said while extending her hand towards the leather jacket-wearing woman beside Naruto. "I'm Virginia Potts, but you can call me Pepper. Sorry for just showing up. Naruto didn't even wake me up before jumping," Jessica explained while holding onto Pepper's hand and shaking it, before introducing herself. "I'm Jessica Jones, Jessica for short." All of this was said with as much politeness as she can muster. Pepper just nodded with a smile, guessing that she was one of Naruto's girlfriends. "Come on in. Tony and Morgan are already set up in the living room even though there's another hour before the presscan," Pepper said before turning towards Naruto. "I have no idea why you want to watch the press release about your mess, though." Naruto nonchalantly walked straight inside the mansion with Jessica sticking close behind him. "We just want to see how Rody will lie on live TV," Naruto answered while walking towards the living room. He immediately dashed towards Morgan the moment he saw her and carried her around, making her laugh. "Hi, Morgan, how are you, princess?" Naruto's antics just made her laugh harder, which also made Naruto laugh. While Naruto and Morgan are making each other laugh, Tony noticed Jessica at the living room entrance, standing uncomfortably. So he decided to make it worse. He stood up and walked over towards the unexpected guests. "Hey, I'm Tony Stark, but you should know that. Billionaire, ex-playboy, genius, philanthropist, but you should know that since you're in my home," Tony said in the most Starkish way possible. Basically, just himself dialed to 100, and he was thoroughly enjoying the reaction that he was getting. And you are. Jessica took a minute to compose herself after the Tony Stark basically just harangued her. Still, Naruto's stories about the billionaire helped her calm down. Jessica Jones. I'm Naruto's girlfriend, Jessica replied. You mean one of Naruto's girlfriends? Tony retorted with a smile. Jessica just took that in stride. He checked her out up and down, which caused both Pepper and Jessica to raise their eyebrow. Wow, look at you. Naruto must have been a god or something. Wait, he really is a god. Well, let's just say he's really lucky. He rambled, only to stop when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around and saw Naruto still carrying Morgan. It's not like I appreciate you complimenting my girlfriend here, but you should stop before your engagement falls through. Naruto whispered while gesturing towards Pepper. Tony turned his head towards Pepper and saw her staring straight towards him while standing cross-armed. He then turned his head back towards Naruto. Help me, Tony whispered back in a desperate tone. Jessica slowly moved towards Pepper, trying to get away from the childish friends. Are they always like this? Jessica asked quietly. No, they're usually much worse, involving millions of dollars worth of damages and a whole bottle of aspirin. Pepper replied before pulling Jessica towards the kitchen, leaving the friends in their impromptu skit. So tell me about yourself, Jessica. Jessica expected some form of questioning from the Starks when she figured out where Naruto took her, so she was able to formulate an answer even before she was even asked. There's nothing much to learn about me. I'm 23 years old and currently taking criminology. That's about it, Jessica replied, making sure to give only as little information as possible. Ha, just like Naruto, you probably have some huge secrets, too, like being an immortal god or female super spy. Pepper nonchalantly commented. Jessica was taken off guard by Pepper's assertion. She expected the questioning. What she didn't expect was for Pepper to know a whole lot more than she thought. She was about to defend herself when a voice suddenly blared through the speakers, which surprised Jessica. Miss Potts, we have a guest, Jarvis informed Pepper. Who is it? Pepper asked. Mr. Stain. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.